Sorry, you guys, if you are not talking, you can mute yourself because the sound is actually better when you mute it, usually, because it doesn't pick up your sounds. Thank you.
All right. So we start, right? We start. Okay, so hello to all, greetings to all. And before we start, I want to say a few words about Billy and Bobby. And this is a little story for you that I recalled. When we had our open studios yet, as open studios, you know, the door is open, people are coming in and out, and we are sitting in our studios like chained to our space. So at one point, as I sneaked out of my studio and sneaked into Billy and Bobby studios just for a minute to see what's there and just to have a little breather. And I found myself in a very special alternative world of wonders. And I looked around in awe, and everything was, you know, paintings were flaming, stage costumes were sparkling, telling the stories about famous celebrated performances of Wondertwins, Billy and Bobby, and the warm aroma of candlelight and stars were shining everywhere. And Star Bobby and Star Billy were there, and Star Billy opened his mouth, gave me this special smile of his and said, "You like shiny, do ya?" And I said, "No, I don't, but I love this." And since that event, I kept thinking why this art is so very lovable. And now I get an answer. The answer is, as all answers, real true answers, as simple. The answer is the visual wisdom, artistic wisdom of that art. Convincingly, you clearly can hear like the muse plays her flute when painter is painting and performers are performing, and they deliver via their artistic wisdom the thing that you are readily taking in and feel happy about it. That's the thing. The thing is that we humans crave for feeling happy. And those artists who are able to create in their art, in their performance, in their whatever they create for us, this happy eureka feeling, they win our hearts and minds, and they can lead us via their special way to their truth. And it is what Bobby and Billy doing. Now the stage is yours. My word is over. Start doing your magic.
Wait, we do all that? No, it's just
I didn't know. I was about to say, I don't know who Ova's talking about. But
Yeah.
I think it's
About
us.
you. I was talking about you. Yeah,
I think, as we say in all of our shows, you could be anywhere, but you chose to be here at 8 o'clock it's a Friday night. We're on vacation, which is about to end soon, which is kind of makes me a little sad, but it's time to go back to school. But thank you guys for showing up. We have so many things that we can talk about, so many different directions as far as the art and the dance, because the art came about because of the dance. It wasn't something that started out as something that Bobby was going to create with BoBsTrAct Art. Bobby created that. I just take the credit for it.
Billy just sits there and criticizes me as I paint. That's his job.
Uh-huh.
It actually is exactly
That's
what
exactly what he
happens.
does.
I'm like, yeah, you should move that over. And Bobby's like, well, that'll be too much in the straight line. I'm like, yeah, but if someone's standing to the left, they're not gonna be able to. That's what I do. I guess I'm the creative
He's
director.
a creative director.
Okay.
And you know, in the business, I can get you for a lot of money. Creative directors they might get more money than the artists. Isn't it like that with the artists?
No.
The directors get more money than the artists. I don't know if everyone knows our story and our history as far as the dance and the performance part of it, but this year we're celebrating 42 years as performing artists. And even though we had 2 years off because of the COVID, we're still counting those years because we were able to make our little kitchen videos that some of you are probably seen downstairs that we created during COVID in that little space is probably 3 feet. 3 feet. That's our show. We take our phones. We take this phone. I take this phone right here. This is what I did those videos downstairs with. I stick them in the cabinet against our oatmeal.
And seasoning.
And season. I'm not even lying. That's the sad part. I'm not even joking. It sounds like I'm being funny, but I'm completely being honest. I stick it there and put it between just the front of the board and in between the seasoning and the oatmeal. And I lay it there and I press record. And I said, you know what? Let's throw on our shiny suits, which you probably seen downstairs, but we have them everywhere. Our suits are everywhere. I'll show you all. I'm not gonna put it on. We have even downstairs, we have 6 suits downstairs. We still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Goodness.
16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Yeah. We still have 24 outfits hanging in our apartment. And one of the reasons why we wear our shiny outfits is because when we were little, growing up in Dorchester and in that area, when we would do shows, we started doing shows when we were around. Our first competition was 9 years old. It was this famous rapper named Curtis Blow, a famous rapper who had a song called "These Are the Breaks" out of New York, and we did his talent show. And me and my brother danced behind my big brother. My big brother Al was also an artist who graduated from UNH with an art degree, but he was a basketball standout. He actually got drafted with Michael Jordan and that whole class. So my big brother, we're from a basketball family. Everything was basketball and art, but it was still basketball. So that was our first show, and we won. I keep telling Bobby,
Billy,
we do this all the time, so you have to let us argue.
It was it couldn't have been that much, Billy.
There's no way.
It was, Billy. We was young. It was in the 70s. They were not giving out $1,000. No, it was.
We won $1,000.
I'm trying to convince him that it wasn't $1,000. You was too young. You thought it was $1,000.
It was $1,000.
It was 100.
Listen.
They wasn't giving out thousands of dollars in the 70s.
It was 80.
No.
It was 1980.
Oh my God.
It was $1,000. We took the money. We gave it to our brother. Gave it to my mother. It was at the Cyclorama in the South End. We wore brown suede sweatsuits, right?
Yeah, I'm still stuck on the money.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Brown suede sweatsuits, and we won first place. And that was like our first big show. But there was a thing called the Kite Festival. I'm about to share a lot of stories with you all. If you have to walk away, just walk away. There was an event called the Kite Festival that started in the 70s, but it was like that was the big show, is to be a part of the Kite Festival. And for those who don't know, if you know Wendy Williams, the talk show host, she was one of the DJs for WIOD in Boston because she went to Northeastern. So Wendy Williams was one of the hosts of the Kite Festival. So we would get dressed up, everyone, to go to the Kite Festival. They do not do this these days. They don't have events like this. You can't fly a kite with your phone in your hand, especially if you're a kid. There's too much. It just doesn't look right. So we would go to the Kite Festival. We get completely dressed. We'll practice for it. We'll wear we wore our mother's white belts, white gloves. Had to be white gloves, white shoes, baggy pants, and
Bow ties.
a bow tie and either a white shirt or a t-shirt. Picked out our afro, and we would go there, and it was just like all the kids would show up. I mean, everyone from like Dorchester, Roxbury, and Mattapan. So it was rap, but it was really a little bit pre-rap. Rap wasn't as big. It was really about the dance and the performance. So we went there our first time, and we won a contest, the dance contest, which was the biggest contest. And we were going against groups like New Edition, who was a singing group, a famous singing group. So New Edition would be in the competition, but they were dancing. It wasn't singing. It wasn't that time yet. So we won that big show, and we ended up beating the group that we was in love with. It was a dance group at the Joseph Lee School that you could share what you would do on that part.
Well, it was a dance group called the Funk Effects, and when I was 9 or 10, my sister worked at a place called the Lee School. So I would go there every day after school and watch this dance group practice. It was probably 15 of them, and they had the big afros, and they just was flipping. They was doing all the robot stuff. We didn't know what the robot was, but they was doing it. And I would come home every day and say, Billy, you got to come down to the Lee School and see these dudes dance. You won't believe these kids. Billy wouldn't come.
I was playing basketball.
Because he was playing basketball. So I would beg him all the time. He has to come down there. Then one day at school, we was in the 5th grade, we saw one of the kids that's in the group, and he got up on the stage during lunch, and just started dancing. And I just yelled out, "That's the kid!" And I remember
we were really little,
excited. So I'm running. I was like, "Billy, that's the kid! That's the kid!" Then he finally came down to the Lee School and saw them dance.
Yeah.
So for us to see them in a competition, we froze. I said, "Oh my God, we're gonna go against the guy that I watched every day and lose and embarrass ourselves." But we end up beating that group, and then they asked us to join it.
But they said it wasn't in the contest, though.
Yeah, they said it wasn't in the contest after we won.
Yeah, but like, no, he was in the contest. We won that show. So we joined this group, and like for every month we would do a big talent show at the Joseph Lee School. I mean, at 10 years old, we opened up for Run DMC at like 10 years old. I think we were 10 or 11 at the Providence Civic Center. But it was this big show called the Hollywood Talent Night that everyone was trying to be in. And at one point in Boston, the Hollywood Talent Night in the Lee School was equal to the Detroit music scene. It was equal to the Apollo Theater. It was really to be honest, it was no different. It actually was much, much, much younger than the Apollo days. So we would have talent shows. There was a show called Hollywood Talent Night where there was so many people in the competition that we had to have it for 3 days because you had hundreds of dancers and singers and rappers and comedians from everywhere. And that was one of the shows that the pop stars, New Edition, got famous in. And we did shows together. Us and New Edition did shows together all the time. We would do them at bars in Dudley Station. They'll perform first and we'll perform second. At the Vine Street Community Center, we would do separate shows. They'll be on one side and we'll be on the other side. So we have that connection with New Edition from way back in the day. And in the early 80s, I think around 1981, that's when we started working with the New Kids on the Block. So we started teaching them from scratch. Like, I'm not talking about from doing the right stuff, their famous songs. This is way before then. I mean, from teaching them, this. And, Mark Wahlberg, of course, he's Donnie's brother, but he would be down there just really destroying the Lee School, just doing so many childish things. I'm still not getting over some of the things that. So Marky was the knucklehead. And while we were teaching, not just us, our dance group was teaching New Kids on the Block, and we kind of introduced them to the even though they was from Dorchester and Roxbury, Dorchester, we still introduced them to the urban crowd because it was a hard crowd to impress. And that was really in the early 80s, and we just kept doing shows. Everything was about the show, and trying to bring a Broadway show that wasn't financially backed to the community. And so it was a huge deal when we did shows. And it was very weird because when we would end up doing a show with like LL Cool J or Queen Latifah or someone, and then we'll go to school the next day, like nothing happened. So I remember I had a joke with one of my students, because I think you guys know that we're educators for 27 years. And one student got me really mad. And I do discipline, so I'm doing all the suspensions and expulsions. And he just got me really, really mad. I don't know what he was saying. He was saying something about, if you was famous, if you was that famous and all this, you wouldn't be at the working here. Like, wait, hold on. First of all, I didn't say I was famous. Your mom said I was famous. That had nothing to do with me. So don't put it on me before I take out a video and show mommy screaming over Mr. McClain. Like, so it's this generation is trying to connect this generation to what we do has always been hilarious. But we've danced all the way up until high school when we had to make a decision on whether we wanted to play basketball or continue dancing. But dance has been the staple that kept us like focused for so long, because we, in our head, at one point, we was really struggling with, do we play basketball? And, you know, seeing our brother and seeing the great things he's done in basketball when we were younger, we was like, okay, we want to do exactly what he's doing. So we was, you know, looking at like BC, a whole lot of Division I schools, even Syracuse was looking at us. So we had to make a final decision right after we graduated, you know, whether we wanted to dance or play basketball, but we wanted to stay into dance. So we was thinking about going to Emerson College, went there, did the interview, basically got into the school. And then one day we was at the basketball court, and we got a call from Bobby Brown saying that he needed us to go on tour. And that kind of changed everything. And I mean, that was on a Saturday. We left to go on tour to
Oh, they can hear us now.
You can hear us now.
Sort of.
My internet becomes unstable. It keeps saying that. The internet is unstable. Can you hear me now?
Oh,
Okay. I think I stopped at Emerson. Okay. So on a Saturday, we got a call from Bobby Brown. And on Tuesday, we were done. And we kind of never looked back as far as anything else. It was just about the arts and the performance. And we've been blessed. We performed on the Apollo Theater 16 times, and which was absolutely amazing until you meet the people who's performed there 162 times, which we did. We met. We was walking in New York, about to do a show, and we saw the great Maurice Hines walking in Chelsea, and we basically passed out. Because the people that we look up to, we really look up to. And we've had like in London, we've had people come, we had Elton John come backstage and George Michael come backstage to talk to us. And I love them, but not like I love Maurice Hines. So when we saw Maurice Hines, I mean, we almost falling out, and he saw us, and he was like, and we was like stuttering. It's like, can we please take a picture of you? And we're not little, we weren't little kids, we're grown. This was only in 2016. So we're like, can we take a picture with you? And he's just like, sure, Wondertwins. And we just looked and was like, did he just say our name? And he said, yes. He said, let's take this picture, and I would love for you guys to go and do a tour that I'm doing called Club Harlem at the Apollo Theater. And I swear I thought we was dreaming.
Yeah.
And even though we've been at the Apollo for a while before we actually met him, I just thought it just went full circle, because at one point we was auditioning for the Apollo Theater, and that was kind of helped through MC Light, a rapper named MC Light. We was trying to get on the Apollo Theater as competitors. So getting on the show with Maurice Hines, and then one day waking up in a hotel room and then walking outside, because Bobby walked outside and said, Billy, he called me and said, you got to come outside and see this. So I get up around 11:30. Bobby went to get something. I don't know, probably
Coffee.
Was it a coffee?
We was
my
addicted
God,
back
we was
then.
fiends.
We was coffee heads.
Oh my, at 12?
At 12.
We were fiends. So Bobby calls me and said, you got to see this. And I run outside, and then we saw our name on the marquee. And I just had to I had to shake my head. I had to call my mother, because it wasn't, I mean, it's great to be, it was about the company that we were following. It wasn't really just about us. It was like, I was like, Dad, this is where Michael Jackson first got it. You know, this is James Brown. This is all these different people. And to see our name on the marquee, it was mind blowing. It's probably something that I would never forget. And I remember we was talking to Maurice Hines about performing at the Apollo. And when he shared that they was on the show 160 times or something like that, it's just it was so good for us to hear, because we talk to our students all the time about remaining humble. And I said, there's always going to be a moment where you have to get humbled. I said, you can't think you're the best. I mean, we've never thought like that anyways. I said, but it's not great to think that you're the best. You don't want to always be the best in the room. I said, you need someone to humble you, or someone that you look up to say, you know what, I still got more work to do. And when he shared that with us, he shared it with us because he said at one point they thought they had, the Apollo record as far as performance, and it wasn't them. It was these guys named the Nicholas brothers who doubled theirs. And I'm just like, it was just really cool to hear him say this to us and us say, wow. And then him talk about the people above who made them do the same thing. So all these like different experiences with dance and performance and motivation is kind of what we strive for. We try to figure out how to keep on going, because it's not, we tell our students, it's very hard, especially as artists, as all you all know. Artists can be artists inside their house and never go outside. Like, we can be artists and just stay in the house and love what we do. I think sometimes the part that's really difficult about being an artist who love what you do is putting it out there for people to critique who you are as a person. Because art you don't just turn on your art. Like, you're an artist when you go to bed, you're an artist when you get up. Everything's about the art. So I think with artists, as all of us know, it's the critiquing part of art that makes it, sometimes difficult, because you're expressing a part of you that is so personal and dear to you. And that's been like something that we've just been trying to figure out. So when Bobby started doing this BoBsTract, we don't even know where it came from. I don't even know where it came from.
It really came from our apartment being empty. I said, I don't want to buy any art.
And all our brothers are artists.
And all of our brothers are artists. So I was already painting in my head, but I always looked at my brothers and said, I don't want to paint. I don't want my pictures to look like theirs. And I don't think I can paint like them, to tell you the truth. And I just wanted to make art that was happy. And I wanted to reflect our uniforms, our stage. I didn't want you to really walk in and have to question, what does this art mean? That's not the art I'm into. I'm into the art that you say, time you look at it, you either love it or you hate it. You like the shine, it makes you happy, or it makes you depressed.
Or you got to leave.
We did have one lady come in here and say, this is way too much shine for me, and just left. This is during open studios. But what she did do, that she kept on coming back eating our potato chips. That's what I didn't like. You don't like my art, but you come in here 10 times eating my potato chips.
And what the funny part is that when she left, she had glitter on her.
Yeah,
I thought it was hilarious. She had glitter all on here. It was just, I was like, that's God. I think God came into the room with us that day.
You don't like my art, but you eat my potato chips.
The chips with glitter on it. It was beautiful. I love it. But the art is just a reflection of I think of our personalities, like all uniforms. Uniforms, all the different colors, all the different colors. Like, even if you take the art and you get a chance, if you go up to the art and look up really, really close, you can see your reflection. Because of the way Bobby's painting and he's putting the rhinestones and the glitter on, you can actually see your reflection and see things behind you, which is really, really cool, unless someone walks in the hallway and see you that close to the art, then it's kind of weird. But the whole goal of like of all this is all of what we do is always going to be a celebration of our Black experience. And I talked about this yesterday. You know, I don't know if you all see my hoodie. Let me see this. It says, my pronouns are king, Black man, and Wondertwins. Now, I wore this at school for a reason. A teacher said something about what you identify as. And we was having a meeting. She was talking about identity. And I thought it was really, really good until, okay, how can I put it where I was sounding weird? I said, okay. I said, if I'm going to accept you for who you are and what you choose to be, and I said, I definitely can do that. But you're going to have to accept me for how I see myself. I said, so if I say I'm a king, you're going to have to accept me for saying that I'm a king. I said, if I say I'm a Black man, I said, you're going to have to accept me for saying that I'm a Black man, because I think as Black artists, I think people tend to forget how much we go through just before the art part. Like, you know, when I leave the building, I don't get on the bus no more. I never get on the bus. I only walk to work, because my experience in South Boston is different. Like, I love our building.
Yeah.
I don't love our area, but I love our building. You know, I like the neighbors. I like the building. I like what we do as artists in this building. I like the conversations. I love that. But I don't love the neighborhood. And remember, my older brother was playing basketball against South Boston. So, I mean, I know the experience of him going to South Boston games and people taking rocks and throwing it at the bus. Like, I know the experience of South Boston. So I'm not a great fan of the neighborhood. I'm a great fan of the building. So when I leave work, I leave straight and walk straight. I walk straight to work. I can't risk getting sidetracked by anything that's prejudiced or racist, because if I do, then I'm bringing that into work, where I'm working with Black kids, Latino kids, Asian, Dominican, Haitian. I'm working with white. I'm working with all kids. So I can't afford to get sidetracked. So I always make my routine straight. And I'll give you an example of what happened one time when we was doing a show for the school. We had 2 bags that we carried, all the kids' uniforms in the bag. So we literally ties,
suit jacket.
We're running to work because the kids got to do a performance.
I think it was probably the first performance was at 9:15.
Yeah, we work at our building has 500 kids, is middle school and high school. So we're running to work. Time we get over the bridge, at least 4 to 6 cop cars. So we're by the gas station with our uniform on. And the part that was really bad is that some of our kids from high school was walking by. So they saw us in the middle of cops questioning us, and then more cops came, and then we're just literally around cops. But I had to go to work and just put on the mask and say, okay, guys, you ready for a show? And I remember one of the students afterwards, it was like, Mr. McClain, what was that about? I was like, you know, I said, what it was for us is what you saw how we responded. I said, you have to get something out of how we responded, opposed to what it was about. I said, see how we responded? I said, see that we still made work on time. I had to we had to teach them a lesson about when those different type of things happen. So I think when you're a Black artist, that goes into like how you see the world. I think it goes into how Bobby paints. Like one of Bobby's pieces, and we was telling the comrade Milan that we was uncomfortable bringing it downstairs because if you don't know us, you would only judge us. And can you get the picture?
Mhm.
You would judge us by the picture. And I think first impressions on Black artists can it can, I don't know if the word is make or break.
Make a break.
Is it make, what I say, it can make or break who you are, because then at some point you end up trying to defend what people think you are. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to, we do it all the time, we have to do it, but you end up having to defend someone's perception of what you stand for, which could be really tricky. This piece right here, that Bobby's gonna bring downstairs.
I don't know if you can see
I
it.
think you can see it.
Mhm.
Can you see it? You can explain it.
And this is basically about, I don't know if you can see the words, but I won't say the word, but it definitely has the N word in it. And it's a guy with his hands up. And it has N word in it. And we made it, and I didn't make this because of George Floyd. Because people think that George Floyd is the only brutality that's happened. I mean, since George Floyd, it's been 20 unarmed Black men dead. Black men, might be more now, getting killed while they're on the toilet, jaywalking, bags put over their head. It's just been outrageous. And I think people forget because they're only focused on the one that makes the news. And we're always telling people there's like, no, it's way worse than what you all think it is. It's much worse. And the reason why I didn't want to bring this downstairs, because I didn't want it to get mixed up with our first showing downstairs. I don't want them to see this as the first thing about my art, because although we're dealing with racism, we're dealing with racism at the same time we're celebrating life. And a lot of people they can't see those two sides. They either say, okay, you're angry about this, so you can't be happy about that. But in actuality, we have to be both. We really can't be one person. It's impossible.
Yeah, so picking and choosing what we choose to tackle has always been like something that we have to really, really, really think about. How do you celebrate both sides of, how do you celebrate joy and pain? So while Bobby's celebrating that one thing that he just showed you, he has to make sure he does this.
I don't know if you can see.
It says Black Boy Joy.
So it's two sides. He's just reading the book.
He's just simply reading the book. But if we don't show both of those sides and what we do, and that's the same thing with dance. I mean, we have two shows. We have a show called To Hip Hop with Love, which is a low budget Broadway show. It's a low budget Broadway show. So
Really? That don't sound right.
No, I'm explaining why though.
Oh.
The reason why it's low budget is because
We broke.
We're poor. The show, you don't know it's low budget. Like, you don't know it's low budget until you see our wallet. And then you're like, well, dag, it is kind of low budget. These guys don't got no money. But the show is great. I mean, it's a feel-good show. It's as close as you're gonna get to the Carol Burnett show and Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire as possible. And it's a 2-hour show. But at the same time, we know sometimes the following week, we have to perform a piece that we have called Black, which is a 48-minute piece based on police brutality, which I'll be willing to share with every one of you guys to watch if you feel like it. It's a piece that we just started doing before the pandemic came about, and we did a tour in Connecticut, so Yale and other schools, and we visited the criminal justice classes and talked to them about police brutality and just things that we face as Black men or Black people in general. So we did a piece about it, and it's been really, really difficult to get it inside of theaters. Theater world is really, really funny when it comes to what they perceive as hip hop. Not as modern jazz or different things like that, it's what they perceive as hip hop. I mean, there's been shows that they felt that we weren't hip hop enough. And I remember telling the presenter, I'm like, listen, I hate to give you this seemingly arrogant response, but we actually was doing this before the name hip hop came about. We are the epitome of what hip hop stands for. It does not mean that we're better than anyone. It means that we know the real deep intellectual parts of hip hop, the culture, because the culture comes from us. It's almost hard to tell someone that you don't know what hip hop is if you're from the creation of hip hop. And one thing that we wanted to do with these different shows is that we went to a show in New York, and when we was doing a show in New York, we was walking through Chelsea, and it was a sign that said 40-hour show by such and such. And it was this older man. He had to be at least, I don't know, he had to be in his 80s. Very distinguished face. I would say beautiful lines in his face, age lines. I love lines. I'm a fake photographer, so I love lines. I love hands. I love faces. So we didn't have anything to do, and I said we should go see what this show about, because it said movement, voice, speaking, or something. I said I have to see this man dance. If he's in his 80s and he's performing in New York,
it was in an apartment.
Yeah, it was I said we're going. I said we really don't have a choice. So we go into the apartment, and it was they closed the curtain, which was kind of scary. We closed the curtain, so we're in the room. It was a smaller apartment, but it was maybe like 12 seats there all around, some people sitting on the floor. And he did a whole piece on the Holocaust. And it had to be longer than an hour. It had to be longer than an hour. Our conversation afterwards made it a 3-hour night. But it was an hour performance. This man was like 80 something years old. It wasn't much people there, but it was so brave and so deep. I said, we have to make sure that we share our Black experience the same way this elderly man shared his experience of the Holocaust. I said, we have to do it. So what we did is we put together Black, and a lot of theaters don't want to see that. For some reason, they don't want to see it. They take it really, really, really personal. And to us, it makes no sense, because we have cop friends. My brother Al, one I talked about earlier, he does programs for cops, basketball tournaments for cops. So there's nothing that should be weird there about the truth. But a lot of theaters don't like to see that. And even with our piece to Hip Hop with Love, because it's not what they see as hip hop, they struggle with seeing what we see as hip hop. So it's all these little different things that we deal with as artists in dance, and now this new direction, or this added direction with the BoBsTrAct. But I think for us that's more exciting than anything, to have these paintings. And I still don't know. I don't even know how you learn to draw.
From what we have brothers that draw.
I know that, but
you ignore us. We're about to argue. If you keep on watching somebody draw, eventually you're gonna learn how to draw.
It ain't that easy. I still don't know how it happened. No, it's not the drawing, it's the paint. I don't know how the paint happened. I think I know the drawing, because I think I draw better than you.
Billy can draw. He's just not as good as you.
I just can't paint. Yeah. Maybe I'll do my own BoBsTrAct.
No, please don't.
I'm gonna do a whole show downstairs with just. No, I'm gonna do what I want to do.
Billy wants to do photography
and film. I do all of our videos. That's my thing. I love capturing things on film. I'll let Bobby do the shine, take the info, do that for now. But yeah, I wanted to share something else, but it kind of slipped my my mind. It was about performance. It just slipped my mind. Oh, I know what I was talking about. The reason why we would think a lot of theaters, like we go to a lot of shows, we watch a lot of theater. Our content for our shows is based not on what we like always. I mean, we represent what we want to do all the time, but we go to shows to see what audiences don't get when they watch a show. Like we would go to the ICA and pay to see a company and not even remember what the company was doing. We'll be seated in an area that we're only watching
The audience
reaction, which is very, very weird. If like you're sitting in front of us and you're like, why are these two men staring at us rather than the people on stage? And but we watch that because, you know, it's one thing, like I said earlier, I said an artist can stay in the house and just do their work and not let anyone see it. It's one thing with performance. If you're only doing that in the house with performance, and the goal is to get the people to kind of see, well, for us, the goal is to get people to kind of see what we do. Because I think when they see what we do, they'll understand who we are. Just like Olga said, when she walked into our apartment and she saw all this shine, that's like who we are. We're no different than our apartment, besides our dirty kitchen. But we're the apartment. We're exactly like our apartment. There's no fronting in this apartment when you come in. And that's what
why are you looking over there?
Because I'm just looking at all this other stuff. I'm like, why? How did you get all the pictures downstairs? How did they come in this house? Like if you see our apartment, we still have pictures up.
I can't help it.
You have 40 pictures downstairs and we still have pictures. I'm trying to figure out where you're gonna put the pictures at.
They was in the apartment before we brought them down.
I know, but it's just, anybody looking for a roommate? You might need a roommate. I might have to move out.
Now,
Say something.
Got it?
Hold on.
I think it was there. Don't move it. I think it's there. Got it? You can hear us. Okay. Perfect. So this is how we think about I might need my phone for this because I have to read it to you.
Uh-oh.
This is how we look at it, the creative process. I got this from you.
I know, but I don't know what you got for me.
This is how we see the creative process. Ingredients of cake. Okay. 1 second.
This might not make any sense to you all, but
It's gonna
you
make
got to
sense.
really think about
This
it.
is real. This is real.
If you had any wine before this, it'll really make sense.
This is gonna be real deep. Okay. This is how we look at it. Okay.
Oh, should I put some music to it?
Put
Hold
some
on.
piano music. This is like James Baldwin deep.
Oh Lord.
What's the science guy that we like?
Yeah, Bill
Not
DeGrasse.
not nine. Something DeGrasse. Something.
Yeah, that's
a
his name.
science dude.
Oh,
Yeah. Can you hear that?
No.
Okay.
It's kind of reminded of a bad SNL skit.
Okay. Here we go. 2 cups of sugar. 1 3/4 of all-purpose flour. 3/4 of, no, I can't say that 'cause I'm gonna give it away. 1.5 cups of baking powder. 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. 1 teaspoon of salt. 2 eggs. 1 cup. of milk, a half a cup of vegetable oil, 2 tablespoons of vanilla extract, and 1 cup of boiling water. Individually, if you take these, right, individually and just eat it, it's nasty, it's disgusting. You can tell I work with kids, it's disgusting. But when you add it together, it's a chocolate cake. I'm dropping the mic. You can tell we work with kids. That's how we look at our creative process. Outside of that, it's our mother making the orange juice and putting all 6 of them on a cup and giving my sister the biggest cup of orange juice and telling us all 5 boys that we can't drink none of our sisters' orange juice. That's the other part of it. That's how we look at our creative process. Almost like it has to have every ingredient for every different person in it. And we've been blessed to have shows where we have grandfathers bring their 7-year-old grandbabies to our show. And to get them to connect at once on something is always the goal. It's like to get everyone, even with the work with Black, even if you don't understand why this is so angers us, at the end of it, the goal is to make sure that people see what we're talking about, what we're feeling, what we're experiencing, and what we're dealing with. So it's the same goal for everything. I think it's the same thing for the BoBsTrAct art, is to get people to look at it and, you know, keep their head moving. Wow, look at this. This is creative. This is new. This is different. I think it's the same approach.
As long as they're happy. My thing with my art is, unless I'm bringing down a piece like the one I just showed you all about police brutality, it's mainly just happiness. Just for people to get joy looking at the art. And I'm not one of those artists that, I'm not offended if somebody wants to hang my art in the hallway somewhere at a company. Some people get offended by that. I've watched interviews, they're like, I don't want my art in that place. I'm like, hang it there. If it makes people happy, I'll hang it in the bathroom. Even though I do got art in the bathroom too.
It's ridiculous. Right. But there's still a because I had somebody visit
Neil deGrasse. Yep, that's
Neil
it.
deGrasse. That's it.
Tyson, yeah.
Love him. We still try to explain the art when we have these, you know, deep conversations with people, because like in most of Bobby's art, you'll see X's for the eyes. Sometimes you'll see a crown. For me, when I explain it to people, and then the different colors, all the different colors, because every color comes from Black. So I say, this is why we have so many, because everything can come from Black. All these different colors. The X's is, and you see the X sometimes on the chest, on the back of something, is because, unfortunately, as people of color, we can always remain in our eyes a target of something. But it's what you do when you feel that you're a target.
Your response. Your
response to everything is the most important. So when the colors is making sure that people understand that even though there's a perception of, I think, of darkness to people of color, the bright colors that come to us are the things that we want you to see the most. The shine is the shine. It can just be like, yeah, that's just shiny art. But it's for us to be able to shine and deal with what we've dealt with is remarkable. Because not many have, and not many could, and some of us are still failing in it. I won't even say failing, some of us just falter in it, because a lot of stuff that we go through, a lot of people don't go through it. I have friends who've gone through things with us, just going to shows that they've never been through before. And it's just like, I would never think that I would go through this while I'm going to your show. So it's always, the shine keeps us thinking ahead. I know it's beautiful sometimes to watch. It can be annoying for some people if they're triggered by too much, but it keeps us moving ahead and not keeping our mood down. So we come into this space in our apartment and we see the shine. If the house is not messy, it keeps us in a good space mentally. Definitely. I think that's our spiel. What did I miss? What did you miss?
We can't. Some stuff you can't talk about.
Well, that's the stuff I missed.
Well, we can't go into Bobby Brown stories, and we're not going into that. No. Some stuff is better left unsaid.
Yeah, some stuff is for the movie.
Yeah, for the movie. We're just looking for two little twins with big afros to play us. So if you have anybody, they got to be able to dance though.
No, they don't have to be able to dance.
Dance a little. I want
Just
little
smiling.
scrubs imitate. No, just joking.
No, the person that has to dance for me has to be able to dance. Yours don't really have to be able to dance.
Yeah.
Yours is okay. Yours can just walk. So we're working on hope to be by September, a filmmaker's doing a documentary for us on us that he's trying to pitch to Netflix. So hopefully that can, we're hoping that still is something that's going to happen. I think it'd be kind of cool. I talked to my mom about it. She was like, "Yeah, I ain't put me on no doggone film." I said, "All right, Mom, I'm gonna have someone that you don't like play you in the movie." And you ain't gonna like that, so you might as well just show your face. Our mother was a dancer when she was in Alabama when she was younger, before she came to Boston. So she was a jazz and modern dancer, and all she does is give us advice. She's always just like, "Won't y'all do what y'all used to do?"
Yeah, like you all need to use your hands more. I'm like, "Mom, we just did that."
Yeah, it's like come to a show. You can't keep talking about how your hip hurts.
Yeah.
Your hips probably wouldn't hurt if you wasn't doing so many splits. So come to the show and you'll see that we're using our hands a little bit more, Mom. So, but she's our biggest critic for someone that doesn't come to a lot of shows.
Yeah.
It's magical. I don't know how she does that. But yeah, that's what everything comes. We lost our dad when we was 13. So we never lived with our dad. We never lived with our dad. It's just my mom, Lula Bell, and her six crazy kids. That's all it was. Lula Bell and her 6 crazy kids. And we wasn't everybody's an artist, everybody's playing basketball. We would get up every Saturday morning to watch Soul Train and Creature Double Feature. Like we had set routines. The stuff that the kids can't do, the kids, some of you all have kids. Kids don't know what they miss. They don't. Okay. We would get up. Let's just say it's raining. We would get up, all of us, on a Saturday. I'm talking 21 of us.
With the neighbors, you mean
with our neighbors?
Yeah.
Go to the top of the hill.
Buy popsicles.
Popsicle. We'll buy popsicles. Eat the popsicle. 10 cents. Eat the popsicle. Keep the popsicle stick. Someone was responsible for rubber bands. So we get the color rubber bands, and then we take the popsicle sticks. We'll split it in half. Take the rubber band, each different color, and we have red, blue, yellow, whatever, green, and we'll have teams. And you know how the cars, between the sidewalk and the car, if it's raining, there's a stream of water. We would have like the popsicle race Olympics. I tried to do that with my kids, but we did this all the time in the rain. This was like a normal thing we would do. Like it's a normal thing we do. I tried that with some of my students. I said, you know what we should do? Let's do a popsicle. It was like, why would we get popsicle? Wait, what are you talking about? And the way they looked at me, I felt so weird. I felt like I was doing something wrong. I was like, I'm just trying to get you all to have regular fun.
Regular fun without this.
Yeah, without this. Like, I just want y'all to have, let's just try to have regular fun. You know, take a sock, put another sock in it. Let's just hit each other in the head for an hour. Like, we don't have to watch fight videos. Let's just hit each other in the head for an hour. Why can't we do that? Like, it's a lot of stuff that they're missing out on. Like, a lot of stuff. And
They don't even know what hide and seek is.
no, like, the kids don't know what hide and seek is.
They've never even heard of it. They don't get it.
Dad, we're so lucky. I hope no one on here is under 15. But we're so lucky. I think that was the creative part. I think that's the creative part that I think sometimes goes missing in not in just kids, in adults too. Like, the imagination of just doing something that you love to do and not caring what someone think. I feel like that kind of slows down because I feel like we're celebrating so many things that's just normal. Like, our kids was talking to me about, oh, did you see the Super Bowl? Not the Super Bowl, it was the one a few years ago. It was like, yeah, bro, I never seen nothing like that. This is a true story. So Bruno Mars was incredible. And those things that they was doing in the back.
You mean drums?
I'm like, wait, you talking about instruments? It was like, am I lying?
No.
It was like they was playing
this thing.
I was like, those
drums?
instruments. It was like, I never seen no one do that. And I'm like, we grew up with that stuff. I said, we grew up with Earth, Wind and Fire, the Commodores, all these different bands. I said, this ain't nothing new to us. It's like, because things are so rare and so uncommon now, it seems brand new to young people. And it's really not. I mean, this is why we'll study documentaries all day just to see how they used to do it back in the day. Because to this generation, it seems new. But to us, it's like it's old, and we kind of want to bring that, I don't know,
Some era back.
Yeah, the era. Someone wrote the old is the new. You're right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we're dealing with. The old is the new. That has to change. I think if we can shut off the TVs, it might can change. Or the phones for the kids. Put your phones away. Let's start talking. Let's do the creative things. I'm begging for a kid to get in trouble for banging on a bathroom door, rapping. Like, that's what I used to do at Lincoln Sudbury. When we had a break at school, we would be in the bathrooms having a dance contest or rapping.
Yeah.
We would risk getting into trouble just to go into the bathroom and do a rap about civil rights. Mm-hmm. So I would love to see that energy and that innocence come back, in our young people, without being distracted. Yeah, that's my spiel. That's where we're at today. And I will definitely send. I can send it to you, Olga, the video.
But it has to be a certain time because you don't want to keep it open.
Keep it open. Yeah.
That's okay. I think that what you did today is much better than any recording, because we just had the best performance ever I could possibly imagine. And those who want to see a show will come down and see a show and your videos. I personally never miss stopping watching some of the loops of your videos.
Here's the weird thing. I can't watch it.
Why can't you?
I just can never watch myself on video.
I understand that very well.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah. But I do know one thing. When I do get a chance to watch it, I do notice how much better I am than this guy.
Okay.
That's the part I noticed. I'm like, God, I'm really better than Billy. No.
You both are better. I'm a teacher. I know how people perform, whatever they perform. Paint or dance or sing or play, they always are better, each of them. And using your metaphor that you just suggested, you guys, a chocolate cake. Yeah. It is who you are, chocolate cake.
Everything's better with music.
That is.
I think everybody has a sound. Everybody has a soundtrack. Everybody has their favorite song that makes them think smile, cry. I know we all have one. Everyone has that song that brings back like their best memories. I have mines.
I think that if you wanted to hear from people,
Yeah.
not only writing, that possibly host of our recording will allow us to unmute and we can chat a little bit. You
Sure.
like?
Yeah.
Because people were
Definitely.
just exploding with their emotions. I could see it on their faces and in their writings. You guys are gorgeous. You're just gorgeous. That is what I'm going to say. And then I am shutting up. Everyone else just talk.
I want my beard like Raver's.
Yeah, Raver got a lot of supermodel stuff going on over here. Do you all know Raver
Give me
has
a break. What are you talking about?
tell you Raver this all the time. Raver's a model and he doesn't really like admitting it.
Yeah, he's
Which
I
is-
don't he's just bashful.
After COVID and 2 kids.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that
Hey,
makes
I have
sense.
a question. I have a question for you guys, which was a
Yeah.
question that I heard someone ask Michael Jackson, which is, what do you think about when you're on stage? Like, what do you think about when you're going through your choreography? You know, what's running through your mind? And maybe it's not the same thing every time, but I'm talking to Billy and Bobby. What do you think about that?
The routine is always set. I mean, some of it is freestyle. The most important thing that we do, and we do it every single show, we find a focal point as far as an
Inside.
artist, an audience member on the side and in the middle. And we usually look for someone who don't know why they're there. Mhm. And we did this.
Yeah.
This is part of the story. And I just got to share this. We did a festival called Jacob's Pillow, which is it's like one of the biggest festivals. We did it 2 times.
Mhm.
The first time we did it there, we headlined something called Unreal Hip Hop. And we're so used to watching people because we've been doing this our entire life. We've been doing this since we were little kids. So we always have to find an excitement in every show that we do. So we do, we have some other companies there they're up and coming, but they have a good name out and they're doing a lot of festivals. But we know that they're not amateurs as far as performance. But they were missing something before they got on stage. And since we're the elders, and this was years ago, we were the elders at the time, we would just talk to them. So this time we felt some weird energy because we have what? We don't have in our head, we don't see fans. We just see people that support what we do. But
we're not looking at other groups as competition.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
we're not
As
looking-
competition. It's not about that. So, but with some people, especially the younger dancers coming up, everything's a competition.
Mm.
So if you have, let's just say you have 3,000 followers, which I think if you have 3,000 followers, that's a lot to have 3,000 people that want to follow you on Instagram.
And
But a young mindset would think that it's not a lot because they have 20,000.
Mm.
So me and Bobby, we go and we find our focal point. So an older lady comes in, white hair, with 2 people walking with her, helping her to a chair. So
Really? Probably could be in the 80s.
70s.
And that's before the show, or that's like when people are coming in. You're off stage.
We're
and
off
you're
stage,
Staring at the
looking
audience.
before the show starts.
Looking like maniacs.
Look.
Yeah.
Looking for the person. So we see her, we spot her, and we're like, oh,
Yeah.
that's her. She
And now you
sits
know where she is too, in the
Yeah.
audience.
Right
So
in
then
the
when you're
front
on
line.
stage,
beautiful. I
You
said,
can
she's
have
at
a-
a hip hop. She's at a hip hop show. She has no idea who we are. She actually is at a hip hop show. That's the
You have to
audience.
impress her.
We have to get her. We have to get an emotional response from her. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's this light. I don't care if the 2 men with her have to pick her up. Whatever it is, I don't care if it's a smile or cry. So we're getting a reaction out of her.
If we don't get it, we failed.
Yeah, and that's how we think. I'm like, we have to get something. So we do the show, we headline the show, and we get the reaction that we wanted from her. The reaction. just a reaction. They helped her. We got a standing ovation. They helped her up. I think I might have shared part of the video when we said they helped her up.
She took a picture.
She took her afterwards. She wanted to meet us. When we was telling the dancers before, we said, you know, since we're all together, let's do this. Let's go out there together and take a big bow together, so they know that hip hop is about unity, and let's take a bow together. The young mind says, no. This is our company. We'll do our bow first. We said, okay. I'll ask again. Let's grab hands and take a big bow. Go like that. Audiences love it. The older lady is still there. She's still watching. So they didn't want to do it. Me and Bobby said, okay, what it's going to look like. This is what it's going to look like.
So we're literally begging them to bow. Not for us, not for the audience.
For the audience.
So, yeah.
They didn't do it. I said, what it's going to look like? I said, because we headline the show, it's going to look like we have a double ovation. And because you all are in competition for some reason, it's going to look bad on you. I said, it's going to look great on us.
It's going to dilute it all.
I said, but it's going to look really bad on you all.
Yeah.
So do you want to do it? No. Cool. So we do it. We get the big bravo, and then the other big bravo, which just like Rayba said, it drowns out there. Afterwards, people run back to us and say, this lady wants to meet you guys really bad, and she wants to take a picture with you. She said she was in the front row. Mm-hmm. I'm like, the lady that came to, so we run up, we get changed, we run up, we take a picture with her, and she says these words to us. And every time I say it, it gives me chills. She said, you guys were with us. You were with us in 19 something. And she said some year, and I was just looking, I was like, I don't know what she's talking about. So now I'm thinking that something might be wrong with her. I'm like, oh, wow. I was like, I don't know what she means. Like, she was like, so the person came up, the press person came up to us and said, do you know who that was? And I said, I actually don't have any idea who that is. I said, I'm just happy that she was at our show and she wanted to take a picture with us. And she came to 5 shows. She came to every night. Show. And this was on the last night that she said she wanted to take a picture with us. So it was like, that's March Champion. I said, I don't know who March Champion is. And we was looking, I was like, I have no idea there's that March Champion. So they put out they show us the video. I don't know
what was going on before each show that we did at Jacob's Pillow. Me and Billy would wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning and go into this room and watch all these old footages of Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly, all these famous tap dancers. We would do this every day.
Homework.
That was our homework. We went every day. We got our coffee, once again, because we were addicted to coffee. And we would sit in this room for 3 hours every day and watch the same video. And we watched the same lady every day. We was like, that lady is amazing. Unbelievable. Wow. We ended up watching her more than Fred Astaire. We was like, this lady is unbelievable.
So we found out that the lady that we was watching every morning was the lady in the front row. So this is the lady. I don't know if you can see.
Marjorie Celeste Belcher was born on September 2nd.
The sound.
Oh.
The sound went out. The sound.
At her father's studio by the time she was 12.
No,
in 1933, she was approached with an audition for a cartoon.
They looked all over town for a girl of 13 or 14 who had had a lot of dance background, but was not an actress per se, because this was really more of a pantomiming job than it was. And in those days, there wasn't a lot of pantomime being done the way it is now. And they came to our school along with quite a few others, and they picked 3 of us out of the class, and I was the one who got the job. I think as much because I looked like their conception of Snow White as my qualification. In animation, the animators usually take the movements and the dramatic things right out of themselves. They have little mirrors next to them, and they look at themselves and they make terrible faces and do all of that. And that's the animals or the dwarfs or any of those characters they take from themselves. But a pretty young girl is not, I mean, what are they going to do? Look at this mirror and they're going to see those hairy faces there, and it isn't really inspiring. So they would take 16 millimeter motion pictures of me going through the action as they saw.
Marge performed dances, scenes, and special movements so the animators could caricature her actions and make their princess as human as possible. At one point, she even donned a trench coat and performed actions as two dwarves standing on each other's shoulders. She later modeled for the Blue Fairy in Pinocchio and Hyacinth Hippo in the Dance of the Hours segment of Fantasia, a ballet parody that she also
So this is her.
I am a sturdy maple tree, and you're my clinging vine.
With the just full of maple trees, cedar and oak and pine. Let me look them over, please, and then I'll let you know if you have a show. After I have looked around the world for a date.
So that's who she was. Now, if we didn't, she was there, I guess they based Snow White off of her, and she did all these Broadway musicals and movies with her husband, a Gower champion.
Yeah, Gower champion.
Margin Gower champion. But if we wasn't in the routine of watching people come in and saying, I care about the audience more than I care about what we want to impress the audience. If we weren't in that space all the time since we were little, we would have never done that. We have never met this lady. And when she said, when you were there with us, she was the first woman on TV to white woman to kiss a black man. So she was talking about Harry Belafonte.
Right.
So we was just beside ourselves. So even
Amazing.
with, even with doing the tours, doing tours, and it's things like that really is like, that for us means like everything. We did a whole show for, they brought us in the, I don't know where we were going. Someone asked us to do a show and they had us going to the woods. I thought they was kidnapping us. I had no idea what was going on. We get to this place in this woods and then there's all these kids there. And since we love kids, of course, we're like, yes, whole bunch of kids. We drove for like maybe 45 minutes or an hour and we get to the center of a wooded area, beautiful performance stage and all this other stuff.
Like 400 kids.
Yeah, and we do this show. And at the end of it, there was they talked to us about it, and it was like, these kids really appreciate this performance. Like, you really don't know, this is life changing for us. We just thought that we was just making kids smile, and this was a while ago. This was probably 2 decades ago, or a little bit, or maybe a little bit longer. And then they told us at the end of it that half of the kids in the audience were inflicted with they had HIV. These were kids that had HIV. They didn't tell us this before we performed because they was nervous that we would be too emotional. So they waited until the end of it to tell us that we did a show for kids with AIDS. That stuff is everything. Like, those shows mean everything to us. And when we tell younger kids this, like, make sure that you perform. If you perform and you're a dancer and you're an artist, make sure you're doing it for the right reason. I said, if you're just doing it just to do it and just to make money, even with, if you're a hip hop rapper, if you're doing it to just make money, then you could be killing the spirit of someone that needs you in order for them to live. A famous dancer, Jeffrey Holder, said, dance for the little boy that's in the room that you don't see. And we always say that we're dancing for the ones that people kind of don't see in anything that we do. That's why we make the art bright. That's why we keep our outfits bright. We're performing for people who are hiding. Hopefully it gets them out of their shell. I know that's a long answer to your question, Reba, but I just wanted to share that.
It's amazing. You guys are amazing. You guys are
Billy
great.
and Bobby, I've been watching various dancers on YouTube, and I saw something that was called Le Twins. And then I was very surprised to see that you had a dance off with the twins.
Mm-hmm.
And it was delightful.
We performed in Italy together because they dance with Beyonce. They're Beyonce dancers. So they're from
France.
France.
Yeah.
It was very nice to see you with them.
Thank you. Thank you. I could
Very-
share about them. I could share stuff about them, but you know what? I'm gonna keep it really nice. I could share something that just would just make you say, I don't like that no more. But really nice. It was a good show in Italy. But they're young.
They come from a different mindset than us.
Completely different mindset. Me and Bobby would go to shows with our outfits on under our uniforms. I mean, under our clothes. We'll put our outfits on and go to shows where people perform. And we knew that they were going to ask us to dance. Now, if someone goes on stage and they do a really, really good job, and then someone asks us to go on stage after them, we won't go on stage after them. Because we'll say, they did a great job. Why do we want to take away from what they're doing? We're not going to, we're keeping our uniform on.
We're okay with, yeah.
But the competitive side of us would say, if those same dancers looked at us and said, yeah, top that, then we'll say, okay, where's your bathroom at? Let us change really quick. That's how we look at dance. It's like, we don't want to take shine away from people. We just don't do that. The young mindset is different than how but I mean, we're older, we're supposed to mature. But I feel like we've had that mindset since we were younger. I feel like it.
You mean they don't dance for the little boy in the room?
No. I mean, not that was a hard no too.
Well, how do I say this?
I think you have areas where that's happening. I don't know if people are doing it for the same reason. I mean, you have TikTok dancers who have like millions of followers, like millions for maybe 6 seconds of dance. And I think when there's a part that you're missing. Like our thing is not about doing short. We have to be able to do what we saw that older man do.
Yeah.
In New York. Like we said, we have to be able to do that. We have to be able to do something that builds. Like you all are here, but we need to, if we're doing a show, we need you to be able to be with people who don't look like you, who could be older and could be younger. That our whole thing is trying to bring everybody together to respond in like they're watching a movie. And I think we don't dance for. We definitely
don't dance for money because we've done too many free performances.
and one of my oh Lord, I might need music.
Oh God.
This is gonna be a shorter one though. Give me some piano. Give me some Bach.
Bach?
Yeah, give me some Bach.
If Billy starts singing, I'm leaving and I'm turning the lights off.
No. It's gonna be a shorter one. Okay. Because we're mimes, so everything we have to.
Because this is my secret. I put it on.
Perfect. Okay. So this is my way of explaining it. So let's just say someone's eating. This is how we look at dance. Someone's eating. Turn down a little bit. This is the dance part for us. When the person leans back and they go, that's how we see the dance. It's not, it's when they lean back and they rub their stomach and they go, that's how we look at our show. Today, they will judge people on how much food they ordered and how expensive the food is. We're going by what we want to do in our shows. Is we want that same thing that a chef would see when a chef sees someone tasting their food for the first time, and they're waiting for that person to do the, oh, dang, that was good. That's how we look at dance. That's how we see it.
And that comes from watching a lot of documentaries about cooking.
Yeah, you're right.
It is. We will watch that reaction over and over and over again.
Yeah, we were like, we need that. We need that response. Like, why is
from a show, from a performance.
Why are they so full? He just had one bite, but the preparation, how he prepared it, that the chef prepared a meal this small, but what went into it was so much, I guess, love and detail. That's what it was about. I was like, look at that little meal. We're looking at it like, look at that little meal, but look at their response. It's the last, we don't even eat like that. It's the last, what do you call it?
What's that documentary we watched about the chef?
It was the sushi, sushi.
Goodness.
It was incredible. But that's what it's about. It's about getting that moment, that full moment.
Yes, it's called, in different cultures, it's called differently, and that's perfect. That's perfect. I think that you have given us the possibility to say, just watching you and listening to you. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you so very much. I couldn't even imagine that it would be so beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, August. And I think that we can bow down and thank you again, everyone who did it, who made it possible, starting from you and Mario Villa Design and Hannah and everyone who came. Because without the audience, you know that better than anyone, Billy and Bobby. Without the audience, our job is not sufficient. Because who will say, we need the audience, right? Thank you very much. Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you guys for coming. I think our show is
Thank you.
On a Monday, the art show downstairs, but I think we might keep some things downstairs. But we're moving our work to the Seaport, to the assemblage. So we'll have work there and work downstairs.
Excellent.
We're going to be teaching in that space soon. So we're going to be doing some free classes for the people in the building. So you come down. You're not going to be doing no pop locking. No one's breakdancing. It's just going to be simple movement classes. Fun movement classes. So we'll let you guys know. We'll find a way to get you guys in there so we can do some movement classes.
Thank you.
I mean, that's what we want.
Thank you for keeping your art for some time yet. It's just good. Just good. You are coming in and you feel good.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks. Have a great night.
Good night to everyone.
Thank
I'll
you.
see you later.
Bye.
See you in the elevator.
See you in the elevator. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. You're there.
Yes. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.